Was Roy Hodgson harsh? That's the question that's going around with many Palace fans discussing it towards his comments towards Franca and Rak-Sakyi. If you don't know what he said, you'll be finding out here. As always, like, subscribe, get involved. Let's get started with Palace news. What's going on, people? It's a Monday night, but it's a week starting with another game coming very relatively soon on Friday night, but it's coming off a 4-0 defeat. 4-0 defeat, disappointing defeat, but of course he wasn't at the match reaction as well. But as always, we'll get his thoughts. But as always, if you do want to get involved, if you have any questions as well, put a Q right before your question. We'll star it. We'll answer it towards the end of the show. Let's try to get over 100 likes. As always, people, let's try to get these shows more done consistently. T, man, how you doing? You was on a match reaction. I think you was a bit busy, but Newcastle, 4-0 defeat towards Newcastle. What do you make of it? Just quickly, before we actually talk about Franca and Rak-Sakyi.
Definitely not what we were expecting. We knew it was going to be a tough game going up there, trying to get, a result, a draw, much less a win. But I guess you just didn't expect it in that fashion, especially with the way we've been as far as setting up and, not allowing goals and things. So when I saw the scoreline, or as I was tracking the scoreline, it was just really a shock. We gave it the one early, which was kind of like, okay, whatever. We'll probably have to warm into the game and, get ourselves going. And I think I feel like I put my phone down for 1 second towards the end of the half, picked it up with only maybe a few minutes left in the half, and we're down 3-0. I'm like, what is going on?
If you asked me to predict a score prediction, which we did do, I said a 0-0 because I thought we'll be way better defensively. There's always a chance for losing 1 or 2-0, but 3-0 in the first half. I mean, that was not Palace. For me, that wasn't the Palace that we know about so far this season. The one thing that we've been good at is solid defensively. But look, T, as the game was going on, we literally had nothing in attack. I said it on a match reaction. I think the attack of Edouard, Mateta, Ayew, as well as who's there's no creativity there. You got a striker that's playing out wide. No. You got Mateta playing up front. There isn't a proper service there, and we saw it. But when I think the game changed now, there's two sides of it, and I did mention it on a match reaction, is when Franca and Rak-Sakyi came on the pitch, because there were actual, attacking players that do have that creative outlet. And it was way more positive. Maybe Newcastle let go of the gas because they were, up so far ahead and it's comfortable for them. But I thought we started creating more chances. I don't think it was just purely Newcastle just slowing down. I think Palace just had something that they didn't have before with Franca and Rak-Sakyi, two young players who have a lot to prove. But as you can see from the title, people, Roy made some comments, and I'll be honest, I was off social media for a bit. I was enjoying life instead of worrying about Palace, and I saw a comment which everyone's talking about, and it's from Roy Hodgson about what he thought about Franca and Rak-Sakyi's performance, which, I'll be honest, caught me off guard, and it's been a lot of debate. So we want you to get involved as well. If you're watching a replay, leave down your comments in the comment section down below to let us know what you think about it. He said the following. And I think this is coming from Edmund Brack, who's also a journalist who covers Palace games as well. On Franca and Rak-Sakyi's performance, he said, I never judge players when the game is over. The game was over at halftime. It's a wonderful time. I'm pleased for them that they got a bit of football. It's handy. If I were them and you're going to start writing how good they were in that 15 to 20 minutes, I would advise them not to read newspapers. Now, T, your face is like, what's that about? What do you make of those comments from Roy towards Franca and Rak-Sakyi, who I thought actually had a positive influence towards the game? Do you understand where it's coming from in terms of like the game was over and to not get carried away?
Not really, just because that type of outlook really kind of, how would I say this? It kind of dispels any care about the development of the young players. Yes, you could have said, at halftime, the game was out of reach, but at the same time, it's an important chance for them to get in and have some important minutes, some good minutes for themselves to be able to play in a Premier League match. But I don't know, it kind of felt like he was talking down a great opportunity that they were getting to get some minutes in a Premier League match. Like, that the comment he made, it could have been on the same wave if they were up 3-0 at half and they decided to get in the game. And he could have said the same exact things like, the game was over. We were up 3-0. We were going to win that match. So it doesn't really matter the time that they got out there on the pitch. You know what I mean? But he could have had a completely different outlook if they were winning the match. But like, oh, it was great that they got out there and got those minutes in the match. The game was over with. But I don't feel where he was coming from with that. Plus, like talking down on him in that way to say, if they start reading about how well they did in 15 to 20 minutes, I'd advise them to stop reading the newspaper. It's like, so you don't think they play well? Is that what you're saying? You don't think they play well, or
it's the way he started as well, T. I just
the whole "it's wonderful" thing. I didn't get that part either. It's kind of weird.
Like, that's what I'm saying. I think we've done very good with Roy this season. With all the injuries that we've got, Newcastle game was awful. Maybe you can even argue about tactics. I mean, who was picking up Kieran Trippier? We sorted it out after half time, but you saw it from minute one. Like, we're struggling down Tyreek Mitchell's side. He didn't have many support. So you can make questions towards Roy Hodgson about his tactical play, even in this game. But overall, as this season goes by, it's been a solid season. Let's not. Well, me personally, I feel like it's been a solid season. But for me, I just don't understand what you get out of this comment. I mean, for me, the way that the quote started with, "I never judge players when the game is over." I mean, why
should you? Because if guys don't fight,
say that was a 19-year-old youngster who came on a game and positively influenced the game against a very good Newcastle side, and more time when the game isn't over, you don't give them the chance anyways. As much as a back, Roy, that's the case. Rak-Sakyi hasn't. I mean, Rak-Sakyi came on in the Forest game because Schlupp was out injured. But if Schlupp wasn't out injured, would Rak-Sakyi come on that early? No. There's been times this season where the Rak-Sakyi's played a few minutes time. So he doesn't give these players opportunities when they can make an impact in a game. And when they do get opportunities, which realistically I do see the opportunities coming in moments like this, because I don't see Roy playing some of these players in key moments of the game, you play down the positive influence that they have. Like, I just think it's just negative, unnecessary negative comment towards youngsters who actually came on the pitch and had a positive influence. What was the need?
Yeah, and
say it privately or don't say it. Like, what was the need? That's what agitates me the most. As much as I love Roy and what he's done so far this season, I just don't see the need to downplay the performance when we've been struggling this season. Yes, look, we've done brilliant defensively, but going forward, we've been struggling because we've lacked attackers. And we've got two youngsters who comes off the bench, tries to create chances, attacks the defenders, and all of a sudden that's been to a negative. It's like, oh, the game was over, rather than, you know what, they had a positive influence. That's what I just don't like about the comment. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but yeah.
I don't think he's ever anything about it. If we look into recent and past history with Roy and young guys, he never really talks good about young guys. Never. Like, you go back and think about the comment that he made about Pierrick, and after the match,
right? That was. I mean, you can make the debate with comment now, but yeah, that was.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you can make the debate about him and how good he would, things like, but like what he said in the moment about a young player getting the opportunity to get out on the pitch, play minutes.
And this just went to context. If you don't know what he said, we're talking about Brandon Pierrick from before.
Where he was like, he should be thanking. What did he say? He should be thanking me or something like that.
Yes, no, he spoke about he should be getting me a bottle of wine. Well, you could say it's a tongue in cheek, but yeah, that's what he said for playing like 10 minutes at Anfield. But yeah, even that's not. Yeah, even I agree with that.
So I've never really seen him truly back and talk highly of young guys. I mean, that's just the truth. But the thing is, no, I don't want you. We don't need to blow up their egos and big up them when they don't deserve it. But at the same time, and it's like I said, I was telling you before, I was really surprised because for the most part, when dealing with the media, Roy speaks very eloquently, and he picks his words and he picks how he speaks about his current players, in particular the veterans, and how he talks about other managers and other players on other teams. He's very eloquent. He talks nicely about them. He really avoids a lot of things that the media may use or twist. He does a good job with that. But for some reason, when it comes to just talking about the young guys, man, it comes out almost borderline backhanded or toxic at times. You know what I'm saying? Like if it wasn't that, we wouldn't be sitting there talking about it. Like if it wasn't on that border, it wouldn't be a topic of conversation right now. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Listen to what it says. Like the video, people, if you can. Let's get the likes up as well. And Twist is saying Roy knows how to get the best out of players. Trust him. D, with respect, bro. Roy picked and played them. Well, he didn't.
Well, I don't. Well, first of all, I don't agree. I don't agree with Twisted's comment. Roy doesn't know how to get the best out of everybody. He didn't get the best out of Victor Camarasa. He didn't get the best out of Max Meyer. Like, there's a lot of guys that we've had that have been very talented players that he didn't get the best out of, and that's the truth.
But do you think he's getting the best out of these players that we have right now?
Has he gotten the best has he gotten the best out of a lot of players? Yes. But I mean, let's not forget that there have been some really talented players that he's let fall through. So it's not inconceivable to think that the comments made about some players like this in Rak-Sakyi or France's case couldn't be something that hasn't happened in the past with a player that didn't play well or didn't do well under Roy. I mean, Roy's not a super coach to where everybody's going to do well under him, or he's going to favor all of the best players. So I don't want to sit here and think that, oh, Roy knows all. Roy knows the best for every single player. I mean, that's not feasible as a manager, as a coach. That's a tough thing.
Yeah. Twist is, I want to answer this as well. With respect, bro, Roy picked and played them. The question is, would Roy have picked these players if it was 0-0 to come on at that moment of the game?
They wouldn't have played. They probably
based on data, based on history, they wouldn't have played. Now that's not been a close game. Where my problem lies is not about Roy, picking these players. They're 3-0 down. Why didn't you pick them early? You could make that debate, but I expected the lineup to be like this. Maybe Rak-Sakyi could have started, but France said there's no way he's going to start in this game. Saying that, when these players do come on, Twisted, and this is where my problem lies. When these players do come on, and they actually perform well, they're young players. Of course, you don't want to feed into ego, but how much English does France even know? Talk about reading newspapers. Do you think Rak-Sakyi is going to go read a newspaper? I doubt Rak-Sakyi is going to go read a newspaper or going to.
He's going to read Twitter.
Look at comments. Maybe Twitter, but France, for example, I don't expect that. Like, just someone who just come to the country. Like, give them the respect that they're due for the performance that they had when they came on a pitch. I just feel like he wouldn't say this to a certain individual. If he asked a question, for example, if a player was coming off the bench like Jared Riedewald, I don't think he would have said when the game is over. I don't think he would have made a comment like that, like just downplay it because the game was over. Basically, I don't think he would have said that. So why say that to youngsters? I don't understand that element to it, and I think that's where it kind of like agitates me. It's like, why just they played good, give them the positive influence. Like this shouldn't be a talking point, but it is a talking point because a lot of people are talking about. Some people are upset, some people are fine with it. That's fine. Let us know what you think. I know we started the show a bit early today, so there might be people watching on replay. So let us know what you think in the comment section as well. But I just don't understand the double standards because from Roy, like you can tell a manager from the amount of time they've been here. We've known Roy for what 4 to 5 seasons. Like we know what he's like as a manager. It's not like this is his first season, and I know that he wouldn't really downplay a player's performance if it was a senior player. He wouldn't downplay them like he's downplaying the youngsters.
No.
And I just don't understand that. Hart says, I don't respect Roy for the comment. Fair enough. Damo, evening. Like, subscribe, people. Cody saying, if I was France or Jess, I would not be happy about this comment. I would be asking questions. So, T, there's another element to it as well. So, with France and Jess, let's put ourselves in their shoes. So, of course, you're a bit older than me, but if he was a younger, just a bit. But if he was a younger player, and you see your manager putting them comments out, I'm not honestly. Of course, you can tell by my emotions that I'm not happy with Roy's comments about it. But if I was a genuine young player, I would still feel this kind of way because I would not like that. I would not like my manager to kind of downplay my comments like that. It'll give me even more confidence if I came on the pitch and performed how I did. And my manager bigged me up after the game. But my manager downplaying me, as well as not giving me that many opportunities, it's not really a great look. For me, anyways. But T, if you're putting yourself in Jez and France's shoes, of course, every individual is different. They'll react to it differently. But if he was one of these younger players, for example, let's use Jez as an example. He's had opportunities, but limited opportunities. I think we can all agree on that. And you come on the pitch, positive influence. I don't think Jess had a 10 out of 10 game, but he was better than the attackers that we had on the pitch. How would you feel if your manager said that about you? Because that's how I'd feel. I feel upset. Personally, I feel upset. But for you, would you use that as like a motivation? Would you not care?
I mean, you want to use it as motivation. You definitely want to. But I think the issue here is the fact that in using it as motivation comes with the caveat of, hey, you know, I'm just going to show them differently the next time. But you don't know what the next time is going to be because it's not a consistency that you're seeing with finding action. And obviously not for your own individual merit, not for what you're doing on the pitch. Because if you think about it, Franca got out there and had created 2 goal scoring opportunities and in 20 minutes, and he had more than anybody else the entirety of the game. Mind you, yes, it was a 4-0 game when he got in, but he provided something that nobody else on the pitch did. To his merit, that's great. But if in that time your manager is discounting that entire period, meaning it doesn't matter what you do. He could have gone out, he could have scored a goal, all of that. It didn't matter because in Roy's eyes, that amount of time that you were in had zero importance. Therefore, the level of your play does nothing for you in my eyes to get on the pitch. You're not doing anything that's deserving.
That's what I feel like as well.
That's what it's going to feel like. Yeah, that's what it's going to feel like. So, like, yes, I want to use it as motivation, but the problem is I don't know that technically what I did and how I played helped me at all. You know, so that's tough to sit with and deal with as a player. But, you know, I hope that privately maybe Roy gave a different type of message to them than what we saw in the press conference. I hope that there was some misconstruction in the interpreting of what he was saying. Because like I said, I mean, that's just not what you want to hear from your manager.
You don't. You know, and Twisted has a good question, and some people have used this side of the story as well. Is this a dig towards the board? Do you think Roy talking about these youngsters like this, especially, I know he changed his tune after the window closed, and I think that's him being a professional more than anything, because we know all summer long that he was asking for more plays, and all of a sudden he was fine with the squad as it is when the window closed. I don't think he was deep down. I think he still wanted more players based on what he said all over, you know, the summer. Do you think he was having a dig at the board? Do you think it's a frustration? Look, you lose 4-0. He even talked about individual players on Monday or Sunday. When they look at the performances, they'll come up and say that they weren't good enough. I think he was not expecting a game like this. Even as Palace fans, I wasn't expecting to be beaten 4-0. Hats off to Newcastle. They deserved it. They whooped their asses. And we got a reality check even about our defense. But do you think that could play a part to it as well in terms of how he's felt over the summer business?
It very well could. It very well could, D. But I think the thing is, once again, Roy is very good at speaking to the media and trying to get across his message. And I think that in taking a shot at the board, you don't have to discredit and take away from the efforts of your own guys. At the sacrifice, like, you don't have to dig at the board at the sacrifice of 2 of your young, most talented guys on the squad. You can take a shot without having to do that. Is what I truly feel in my heart. If you're going to take the shot at the board, fine. But I think you can do it in a different way outside of discrediting and possibly discouraging your young players. So Twisted has a good point. It could be that, but I feel like if that's the case, then Roy could have done it in a much better manner than he chose to in the moment.
Yeah. Cody saying he would have never said this to Mateta, Schlupp, and Edouard. Of course, we'll never know for 100% certainty, but I do believe that as well. I think
you never heard him talk about that, like about James McCarthy coming off the bench Any
I'm gonna go through some other comments, and if you have a question, literally, I'll put an example here. Put Q dot and then ask your question like this, and we'll read them out. We're gonna wrap up soon, so if you don't have any question, that's fine. Like, subscribe, people. If you're new here as well, let's try and get to 4,000 subscribers. Thanks to everyone who checked out the match reaction show as well. There's a follow up to it. Ryan said Roy won't be here next season, so the board don't care what he says. I think that plays a part as well. I mean,
people could have said the same thing last year, and look where he is. He's here.
Yeah. And yeah, but then again, T, I think this is it though. It's surely this season is the last season.
At this point, I put nothing past our board.
Nah, come on. You have to
think about it. D, think about this though. Think about this though. At the end of this season, going into next season, we still don't have this new stand built. Therefore, we still might not be spending too much money. Therefore, we still might not be able to go out and get acquire not only the playing talent, but the managing talent that we may want. So we may find ourselves in another budget cutting situation. I'm just not going to assume anything, because after last season, when we knew for a fact, and it was said from the beginning that he was coming in to only handle the last 10 matches, and that was all. His contract was only to be to the end of the year, and then we were supposed to be bringing in new managing talent, and it did not happen. I'm just not going to put anything past this ownership at this point, and people.
Yeah, I do agree. So Leeds United, best team in London. Boy, geography wasn't not everyone's favorite subject, I guess. But yeah,
your comment says all we need.
I guess some people are special in history and other subjects. I guess you can't be perfect in everything. Cody's saying, do you think this is a sign that it's not going to start these young guys for the Spurs game?
No way.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this in the preview that we record. Make sure to check that out, people. Most likely be posted on Wednesday. But yeah, I mean, the only France, I don't think he's fit to start probably 90 minutes. I'm not.
France is going to play in the U21 game too.
Yeah. Tomorrow, is it tomorrow?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, he's going to play in the U21 games tomorrow. So, he's still building up them minutes. I think Jez is the option to really start the game, but then again, I just don't see it. At least it might be back. That might be positive. It depends. We don't know the time frame with him, but what we need to do, I mean, Spurs are going to be playing in a few minutes time. We need to be solid defensively. Like, they are on.
That's a tight window for Spurs right there, man.
Yeah, Monday to Friday.
Monday, Friday. Sheesh.
Yeah. So they got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So 3 days off. I mean, we got extra rest. We got no excuses. We got extra rest. Well, the only excuse we have are injuries. But yeah, Franca and Ahmed are playing in the under 21.
Franca, Ahmed, Ferguson's playing in it.
Oh, Ferguson's back as well.
Ferguson made the squad for it.
That's good. I'm happy. I really want Ferguson to do the maddest comeback, a comeback that we've never seen before. But yeah, every time he comes back, he just gets injured. So hopefully this is the turning point. I don't know what's changed from now because I'm not in the medical department, but hopefully that is the case because Spurs, they're not going to be easy, and also squad depth, we do need it as well because you can see. I mean. France, I don't think is a bad squad depth option. I mean, we spent 20 million. The way Roy spoke about him before the game as well. I mean, we spent 20 million pounds or euros on this player. He's not one for the future. Yeah, he's still got room for improvement, but it's not like we can just put him to the under 21s for the rest of the season. He has to have some. Unlike
other guys that have come in that have been supremely talented, that haven't gotten a chance. He's not a free transfer guy, and he's not a loan player.
Yeah.
So, like, this is a major investment from the club. We're spending this type of money on this kid and his potential and what he could be. He wasn't brought in to be a fringe player. He wasn't.
Yeah. I agree. And he looked exciting. Like, forget about the comments. He actually looked exciting.
He looked like it wasn't too big for him.
But he wasn't scared though, T. When he was playing, he wasn't scared. He was taking shots from like 30 yards out. Like he didn't have this expectation of, oh, I'm in the system, I have to, be careful, not lose. Like, he was excited, like he was willing to get on the ball, he was willing to take the shot. And that's what you need right now. When you're struggling, when you don't have the attacking players, you just need that youngster who has a point to prove, that comes on the pitch and willing to take on the defender, willing to take that shot, willing to make that pass. He did have some mistakes, but he's willing. That's the most important thing. He's not scared.
The game and the level of play for him is not too big. That's really what it boils down to. He's not going out there playing with fear. He's going out there playing for himself, playing his game. Like this kid's played at the highest level in a country where football is king, where some of the greatest players that we've ever known have come from. Like, this dude knows ball. Like, he's not just going to come out and be scared. Like, it didn't look too big for him at all. And then you think about it, unlike a lot of guys that come from Brazil, he's not little. He's not a small, quick flare player. Like, Franca's 6 foot tall. Like, he's not a little, he's 19, but he's not a little guy. Like, you talk about, people talked about Elise and talked about Jazz, and one of the big knocks is, can they handle the physicality of the Premier League? Like, this dude is not a little guy. Like, he's not small. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm happy to see him come out and just play and have fun and play well and create. And like, I'm hoping he gets more opportunities.
Yeah. Let's answer this question from G-Rat. Says, what is holding back Crystal Palace in the attacking side during these games? What could be done differently to get more goals? For me, I just think you need to have a creative outlet. We just don't. That against Newcastle, we just didn't have a creative outlet. I mean, Edouard is not that player. Mateta ain't. Ayew has been, but he's not reliably, the creative outlet. And then you have, Will Hughes there, who's not a number 10. So for me, Jez ideally needs to be starting. And he looked good against Forest defensively, which Roy cares about a lot when he did come on. I think he has that element to it. Of course, he's a younger player, hasn't got experience of other players. But I think that is what we need. And that's what we could be doing to get more goals. Because right now, I think that's just missing without Eze and Elise. But for you, T?
Yeah, I mean, it's two things. It's an attacking identity and then having attacking personnel. Like, you want to have an attacking identity, meaning that you want to play forward. You want to have guys that are looking to score. You're getting shots on goal. You're creating. So you want to have an attacking identity. But then at the same time, you have to have attacking personnel in order to fulfill that identity. And like you said, starting a flat 3 with 3 guys that conceivably can be considered defensive midfielders in a midfield 3 and expecting one of them to be more attacking when they've never been that in their career. Goal scoring has never been their thing. Assisting has never been their thing. You're not going to get the creative production. You're not going to get the goal scoring opportunities. You're not going to get the chance creation that you would from having somebody in there that does. And Twisted Ass, are we too reliant on Eze? I think we were too reliant on Eze when we didn't have Elise out there, because they take pressure off of one another. The question would be, back in the day, was, do we rely too much on Wilf? We relied a lot less on Wilf last season because we had Eze and we had Elise, and we were competing, winning matches, playing well, because we had multiple outlets to have chance creation, to have goal scoring ability, to play progressive football. So you have to have your identity, but you also have to have the guys out there on the pitch that can fulfill said identity. So.
Yeah, I think you put it well there. And I think, look, even when Eze has played this season, T, what we know Eze thrives with, or who we know Eze thrives with, is with Elise. And Elise hasn't played a single minute. So I think even this season, to see the best out of Eze, we haven't had Elise on the pitch, who he's got a lot of assists with and a lot of playmaking, and their connection is fantastic. So there is that element as well. Like this season, yes, Eze hasn't been out all season long, but because we've been missing Elise, I think that could impact his performance as well. I think there's a level to Eze's game that will naturally improve because teams will have to mark Elise and Eze. G-Rat saying, just wondering because I'm a Dortmund sport and we got Newcastle next. Yeah, I'll be honest, G-Rat. Yeah, they are flying. Like they've got nothing to fear right now. Newcastle are flying high. They've got a momentum, so it will be a difficult game, but it will be a game that I'll probably be watching, depending on what other games are on at that time. Will Elise be the same guy? I expect him to be the same guy. Maybe he's a bit rusty at the start, but yeah, I don't expect him to be,
Yeah, it's not. He didn't have an injury that changes a career or changes a player's style of play, I would say.
Yeah. Daniel's saying, I think Hodgson was just angry after the game and wasn't in the mood to be nice about anyone. We all make these kinds of mistakes, I guess. I think that's a fair point as well, because he did sound, from based on his quotes, a bit angry. And I understand it, because even I was angry as well. Hart says, right back and left back, we need that to be complete. I agree. Moto 17 saying, just want to say France had 1 shot, 3 key passes, 4 crosses, 1 long pass, 67 accurate passes, 14 touches. Eduardo Mateta had 0 key passes. Also, Mateta had 1 shot. And the reason for that is Eduardo Mateta, they're not creative outlets, and I think France is. I think it's simple as that. You don't even have to complicate the matter. And his crossing was very good. He took set pieces as well. And yeah, it was ideal as well. Luke's saying, we're going to wrap it up, people, because Spurs and Fulham game started. Probably watch that and chill for a bit. Enough for Palace chat for today. But to answer this question, would there be a moment in the season where we play our best 11? Because if we would, I think we would honestly potentially destroy some teams. Yeah, I think that moment is coming sooner rather than later. We didn't pick up any injuries after this game. You're seeing Decore, Lerma back as well. Hopefully, we're missing Eze, Elise. Who else are we missing? Eze, Elise, Dean Henderson. That's just squad depth. Henderson.
I mean, at this point, Eze and Elise are the big components that we're missing to being able to play that top level.
Other players as well. Well, Schlupp. He's out. I mean, yeah. And then Jarrow, was he on the bench? I don't know if
Jarrow was on the bench. I think he was on the bench.
So yeah, we're soon getting there, Luke. We're soon getting there, and hopefully we'll figure out what went wrong. But look, people, if you have enjoyed it, just do us a favor, leave a like. It takes a second of your time and helps the algorithm, helps grow the channel, and subscribe if you're new here as well. If you're watching a replay or have any other questions or statements that you want to make, also leave a comment after the video. It helps the algorithm too. Thank you to T as well. We'll be back most likely tomorrow or the day after, depending on if there's anything worth talking about. But we got opposition preview locked in. We got match preview locked in. So we've got content 100% coming out throughout the week. That's it from me and T. Until next time, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.